The High Value Target update is officially live, and it brought some of the most significant changes to gunplay that we've seen so far, impacting recoil, bullet physics, and damage models, all designed to finally increase the game's skill ceiling. So today, I'll be breaking down some of the most important changes in this update, so let's get into it. First and foremost, let's talk about the TTK rework. As the devs have stated in the blog post, this update is meant to slow down the average time to kill while keeping the best and lowest possible time to kill untouched. And to do this, they finally added limb multipliers to every weapon in the game, which will now reduce the damage dealt to the arms, legs, and lower abdomen. Now, all fully automatic weapons will have a 0.84 multiplier to the limbs and lower body, DMRs will have a 0.91 multiplier, and snipers will have a 0.67 multiplier. For automatic weapons, you'll now deal between 21 and 27 damage up to 10 meters when you hit the limbs, giving you a 4 to 5 shot kill. The limb multipliers on DMRs aren't very impactful. Even with the change, you can still get a 2 to 4 shot kill depending on which DMR you're using, so it's not worth worrying about. The limb multipliers for snipers, on the other hand, will make sniping a bit more challenging. If you manage to land your shots on enemies up close, it'll still be a 2-shot kill anywhere to the body, but at range, it'll become a 3-shot kill to the limbs. Luckily, you can still get a 2-shot kill if you land a shot on the limbs and one to the chest, but you will still have to be more accurate. As far as I'm aware, weapons will still deal maximum damage if you're shooting at the side of an enemy and the bullet travels through the arm and into the chest, so it's not going to be impossible to get the lowest possible time to kill, even if you aren't very accurate. But to help balance out the lower multipliers on the limbs, the devs have also slightly increased the headshot multipliers on automatic weapons, with the base multiplier being increased to 1.4, and the multiplier with hollow point and synthetic tips being increased to 1.57 and 1.8. So now you can deal between 35 and 59 damage to the head up to 10 meters. And besides the addition of limb multipliers, the devs have also reduced the recoil variation on the majority of weapons in the game to make recoil more predictable and easy to master, with most automatic weapons seeing a 5 to 26% decrease in recoil variation. The most notable changes are for the NVO, the VCR, the B36, the SG553, the SOR556, and the RPKM. But to avoid making weapons complete laser beams, the devs have also increased spread and reduced the muzzle velocity on the majority of weapons. So now, weapons like the M2010 and the Mini Scout will have a base muzzle velocity of 760 meters per second, and automatic weapons like the B36 and the L110 now have a base muzzle velocity of 740 meters per second. But across the board, most automatic weapons have seen a 3 to 6% decrease in muzzle velocity. As for bullet spread, most weapons will see a 14% increase on average. Weapons like the SCW and the SG553 with higher damage outputs will see a 22% increase on average, and weapons that deal less damage like the AK205 and the USG90 will get a 48% reduction on average to help compensate for their lower damage outputs at range. And the adjustments made to bullet drag are pretty simple, with all weapons seeing a 40% increase to drag, and the long-range ammo type seeing a 100% increase. I personally don't know how this is going to affect the rangefinder meta on sniper rifles, but I'd assume you will need to aim above enemy heads a lot more in order to land your shots. But that's not it for snipers. Apart from the muzzle velocity and bullet drag changes, the sweet spots have also been reduced on every single sniper rifle. Now the M2010 sweet spot sits between 75 and 100 meters, the SV98 sits between 54 and 75 meters, the PSR sits between 90 and 120 meters, and the L115 sits between 100 and 133 meters. With all this in mind, it's more important than ever to be as accurate as possible when using snipers. Instead of sitting back and getting easy body shot kills, you'll need to stay closer to the action and get better at landing headshots. And finally, we can talk about the vehicles, which have also seen some pretty significant changes in this update. The most important change being the adjustments made to thermal smoke, which has been made to be less effective when mitigating damage, while also requiring the tanks to be in the center of the smoke to gain the smoke's damage reduction benefits. On top of this, the smoke no longer destroys enemy C4, so recon players are able to sneak up and destroy enemy tanks once again. But the thermal smoke will still do damage to enemy players, so you do have to be careful. Aside from this, there are quite a few changes involving the damage output of vehicles. The attack helicopter's heavy rocket damage has been increased, and now you can deal between 120 and 300 damage to tanks, 300 to 356 damage against helicopters, and 450 to 520 damage to jets. The MBT's armor-piercing damage has been reduced to deal between 244 and 640 damage to tanks, 520 damage to helicopters, and 650 damage to jets. But they've also increased the damage of the aim-guided rocket to deal between 244 and 650 damage to tanks, and 720 damage to helicopters. The IFV's AP round's initial velocity has been increased to 445 meters per second, and the AP rounds now bypass the missile intercept system. The lock-guided missile damage has also been increased to 450 damage against tanks, and 975 damage against helicopters. As for the anti-air tanks, the armor-piercing rounds damage to aircraft has been increased to 200, and the multi-purpose rounds damage has been increased to 130. The high-velocity rounds will also deal 52 damage to helicopters and 65 to jets, and the heat reduction has been reduced to 3.6% per shot. Personally, I'm not much of a vehicle player, so I won't be testing out these changes, so let me know in the comments what you think of these changes once you get to try these out for yourself. This update has also brought even more quality of life improvements, with the most notable changes being the damage increase for the RPG, yet another mortar nerf, and some much needed netcode improvements. Now you'll be able to deal between 188 and 500 damage to tanks with the RPG, and up to 1125 damage to helicopters. As for the portable mortar, you will no longer be able to bypass the resupply time by dying or redeploying. But some of the most important changes are the improvements to netcode. The first change being how the server handles being hit by multiple damage events at the same time, which should reduce cases of being shot from around corners. They've also made changes to network bandwidth by prioritizing players that are nearby or in your line of sight, while prioritizing less on players that are behind cover or far away, which should improve hit registration, dying behind cover, and reducing any choppiness or jittering on fast-moving players. This does seem like it would be a double-edged sword because the game would no longer have accurate locations of enemy players that are out of sight or far away, and it would cause microstutters or lag by flooding the network with information when enemies suddenly jump around corners into your line of sight. But to avoid these issues, the devs have also improved the time nudge system to react more quickly in situations like these, as well as adapting to any changes made to network or performance conditions. This should also help reduce cases of being shot around corners, and it should make kills and deaths feel more accurate and fair. So that's going to be about it for the video. Hopefully this update brings BF6 one step closer to what it should have been on day one. With these huge shifts to gunplay and vehicle balance, the meta has been completely flipped on its head, and I'm more than curious to see how these changes will really affect the gameplay of BF6. But I want to know what you think of these changes. Are you more excited to get a first-hand look of these new weapon changes? Or are you going to be hopping straight into a vehicle to lay waste to your matches? I'm always eager to see what you think, so let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you want to stay one step ahead of your enemies, then consider dropping a like on the video and subscribing to the channel so you can keep up with the best tips, tricks, and breakdowns in Battlefield 6. I will be coming out with yet another weapon guide soon, so turn those notifications on so you don't miss out. I also stream from time to time on this channel and on Twitch, so go drop a follow over there as well. There isn't much to say besides that, so I'll see you in the next video.